for TJ DeCare. His momentum that he's carried forward from the end of last season showing strong here into 2025. But how about Colin Allman, again, one of many drivers making their debut for the ZMAX Cars Tour Pro Late Models. Very fast race car that he had earlier today, especially in 1 and 2. But how about young Keelan Harvick? Missed a debut at New River All-American Speedway several weeks ago, but yet debuts on the Mahle Pistons Pole Award here this afternoon.
He may have had to wait for this debut opportunity. I guess already it's been well worth it. Let's hear from our pole sitter for the first event we've got on the docket tonight with the Cars Tour. James Pike is standing by with Keelan Harvick.
Well, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Blake. We're down here on the pit wall at Cordele Motor Speedway, and we're just sort of hanging out here before we get ready for driver introductions for the Pro Late Models. And Keelan Harvick is officially making his debut, a little bit delayed thanks to the stomach bug that hit him at New River, but he's here, he's ready to go. And honestly, just looking at you and seeing you this weekend, yes, it's a debut. Yes, for you and your career, it's a big moment, but on the outside, it just seems like this is another race day to you, and you're just ready and amped up for it like you would any other. Is that sort of the feeling you have internally?
Yes, sir, yeah. You just got to approach every race the same, and yeah.
How much fun are you looking forward to having with this track? What have you learned about it in your practice sessions that makes Cordele unique?
Yeah, I was definitely not doing the best in practice, but the Rackley War guys helped me out a ton of getting me on the right line, and my dad. I was not getting close to the wall enough, but now I'm getting close to the wall, and we're good now.
What's it like working with not only your dad and the KHI team, but the Rackley Ward team? We know that merger happened in the all-season, and that sort of experience, especially I think at your age, has got to be really, really helpful. You probably learned a lot.
Yes, sir, yeah. Michael House has really helped me a lot by coaching me, watching my video, and he's really been a big help to me in the Pro Late Models.
Going to see the 62 start on pole this evening in the Pro Late Models. And like a lot of these drivers, probably going to be working off of the right rear. You don't stop turning here outside of the front straightaway at Cordele, and these drivers have a challenge on their hand for 100 laps of action.
Thanks, Pike. Very impressive debut effort. And even though Keelan had to sit out the effort at New River due to the illness that was completely unexpected, he was on the track property, practiced the day prior, even was trying to get in the car morning of the race. He's been quite busy since. Picked up a pair of wins at a Legend car and what was winner heat at Dominion Raceway on the road course. Then went on to compete out west in the Spears Cars Tour West Series at Kern Raceway. And then back east, where he scored back-to-back top 5 efforts in what was a late model stock car set of starts at Florence Motor Speedway. A lot of people have said this racetrack is very similar to Florence, not only visually, but drive-wise. Keelan's got to be pretty confident with what he's been experiencing thus far in what is his Cars Tour Pro Late Model debut.
It certainly takes a lot of similarities to that, which, again, you hear about kind of the combinations. Drivers all weekend long, especially those that haven't been here before, they've been trying to kind of throw this track into a certain category that maybe it's like kind of a merger or a marriage between a New River All-American or a Florence and a Wake County Speedway kind of tight bullring confines to the fact that the racing groove is a little bit tighter, but yet is still going to be abrasive enough that having to conserve these F45 Star tires are certainly going to come into play for many of these drivers tonight.
And I think the other thing that we will start to talk about a little bit more is changing track conditions all day throughout the 2 practice sessions that were held for both groups up into qualifying. Many drivers said they were really surprised with how slick the racetrack got with the sun pretty much painting all across the 3/8 mile oval that is Cordele. Now that the sun has already started to set behind the grandstand, you see some of the fans in attendance knowing that the temperature is going to swing quite dramatically as we get into the later hours of the night. They've already gotten their sweatshirts, their long sleeve shirts. The front stretch is completely covered in shade, and as is the rest of the racetrack, the temperature is going to drop. The action's going to heat up on the racetrack, but the conditions and the expectations of the drivers and teams are going to be tested in max capacity form.
They certainly are. And again, talking to so many people that have been here at this racetrack before, again, I think the Pro Late Model field that we're about to introduce here knows this place better than anybody. And several competitors that have been here time and time again over the years, we'll talk about that, Eric, and especially the fact that the drastic handling change of this racetrack is more so than other tracks that they have been to, that it can go from very slick to, like you said, going to cool down dramatically. The track already covered in shade. And I think that's why, again, when we were watching all the practice sessions earlier today, it was a lot of cars sliding around looking for that grip, knowing that once we get a little bit later on in the night that it's going to tighten up.
And that's a lot of conversation about some of the tangibles, grip level, certain things that you could decipher with some of the tires. But then we talk about some of the intangibles, and that is the emotion and energy that this event carries, and it is all about to be tested here in just a few moments' time. With that, all of our drivers have begun to line up on the pit area for the chance to be introduced to the crowd that has come on out here to Cordele. Let's get set to introduce you to our field for the Pro Late Models.
Starting tonight in the 30th position, driving the 16H Port City Timber Chevrolet out of Live Oak, Florida, it is Patrick Hodges.
Starting inside of row number 15, making his Cars Tour Pro Late Model debut in the Advanced Septic Services number 33, Hunter Johnson.
Starting on the outside of row 14, behind the wheel of the number 32, Dutton Motorsports, Terry Short Apartments, and Will Girls Chevrolet from Tallahassee, Florida, Stuart Dutton.
Starting inside of row 14, 2024 Outlaw Late Model Champion at Cordele. Out of Enterprise, Alabama, in the South Alabama Plumbing and Electric 08, Spencer Bragg.
And starting tonight in the 26th position, behind the wheel, the number 12, Bake Tech and Cut Right Trees Services Machine out of McDonough, Georgia, Brandon Brilliant.
Starting in 25th, after several Xfinity starts this season, comes to the Cars Tour on a Pro Late Model, driving for Rick Ware Racing and the Jacob Company's 51, Carson Ware.
And rolling off tonight from the 24th starting spot, behind the wheel of the number 99, 4M Services and 4M Materials Toyota from Fort Myers, Florida, Cody Martell.
Starting in 23rd, winner at Wake County a couple of years ago in the family-owned race car, driving the Jones Utilities Construction number 44, Logan Jones.
In the 22nd spot, you'll find the 62X X10 units, Gelm and K3 Fencing Ford. From Alpharetta, Georgia, it is Luke Yarborough.
Starting in 21st position, two-time Snowball Derby winner, three-time Snowflake 100 winner, and 2023 Speedfest winner here. Driving the Alabama Brick Delivery 43 out of Hayden, Alabama, Augie Grill.
And now inside the top 20, behind the wheel of the number 16, Delarian Trucking, Hisco Pump South, and Florida Seal Coating Chevrolet from DeBerry, Florida, it's Tim Sozio.
Starting inside of row number 10, out of Marietta, Georgia, making his return to a Cars Tour event, first time in a Pro Late Model with the Tour, the Keystone Restoration 38, Cody Haskins.
Perhaps no more of a special start than the driver rolling off from the outside of row number 9, behind the wheel of the number 50, Cohen Law Group and Nolan's Roofing Machine from Groveland, Florida. It is Jeff Nolan.
Inside of row number 9, second year full-time in the Cars Tour and a Pro Late Model for his family-owned race team in the GSCI DPFX Fit number 97 out of Mooresville, Dylan Garner.
In the 16th starting spot, behind the wheel, the number 2, Apex Construction, SureFlow Plumbing, Alpha Insurance, and Stockton Mortgage Chevrolet from Tony, Alabama. It is Jackson Bishop.
Starting in the 15th spot from north of the border, from Enfield, Nova Scotia, making his way down south with the freight auction team for the second time this year, Gage Gilby.
The 14th starter tonight is behind the wheel, the number 54 CB Partners P&R Ammunition and Arab Performance Parts and Race Fuel Chevrolet from Pendergrass, Georgia, Seth Christensen.
Starting in 13th spot out of Lawrenceville, Georgia for Tide King Motorsports, two-time Speedfest winner and three-time Southern Super Series champion, car 62, Casey Roderick.
Making up the 12th starting spot in the Veterans of America Furniture by Walker and RaceShopFloors.com Toyota out of Long Island, New York, the number 15 of Rodney Dallas.
Starting in 11th position for his family-owned operation, making his Cars Tour Pro Late Model debut, the Mid-South Steel 5 out of Brooks, Georgia, Garrett Gum.
And a regular Cars Tour competitor now back home. In the 10th starting spot, behind the wheel, the 6B Atlanta Paving and Concrete and Sundance Equipment Sales Chevrolet from Woodstock, Georgia. Say hello to Brandon Lopez.
Starting in 9th position out of Waterford, Connecticut, World Series of Asphalt winner this past February, driving the team critical number 31, Brody Monahan.
Pulling double duty tonight, but starting in the 8th position in the Pro Late Models. In the number 17, Byron Outdoor Superstore, Hamby Automotive, and CB Free Realty Ford from Fort Valley, Georgia, Hudson Bulger.
Starting in the 7th spot, fresh off the podium at New River in the ALL Construction Incorporated, number 25 for Rackley War, Petersburg, West Virginia's Isaac Kitzmiller.
And starting in the 6th position behind the wheel, the number 47 Atlanta Paving and Concrete Chevrolet from Davidson, Nevada, Tyler Reif.
Starting in the 5th spot after winning the Male Pole Award, iRacing Halfway Award, and Factory Canopy's Most Laps Led Award at New River. Second in championship points in Aspire Motorsports, Gamebridge Chevrolet, Tristan McKee.
On the outside of row 2, it is the number 6 Bo Marine and Honda Marine Machine out of Chester, Maryland, Ben Mayer.
Starting in 3rd, making his 18th career Cars Tour Pro Late Models start. 3rd in the Pro Late Model portion of Speedfest last winter in the Walker Motorsports 54, TJ DeCare.
And on the outside of the front row, out of Plant City, Florida, in the Race Car Engineering 4, the number 67 of Colin Allman.
And starting on the pole for his first career Z-Max Cars Tour Pro Late Models start, driving the Easy Go number 62 out of Charlotte, North Carolina for Rackley War Racing, Keelan Harvick. And that is your full field of starters, 30 cars strong for the Pro Late Model portion of tonight's Byron Outdoor 225 for the Pro Late Models here at Cordele. Now, one new award that has been up for grabs for all racers in 2025, not only on a race-by-race basis, but also a season-long basis, is something that we have had an opportunity of talking about and sharing with all of you watching along. And the driver who is able to lay claim to that prestigious award is taking hold of the opportunity to see where he ranks in the season-long standings. Only one race in the books. He's atop the charts. Let's throw it down to James Pike.
So, Eric, you're right. This is a new award for 2025. This is the FloRacing Fieldmaster Award, and it goes to the driver, not necessarily that's the hard charger. For those who are familiar with that concept, that's the driver that gains most positions relative to their starting spot. from start to finish at a race. This is not that. This is strictly the driver who passed the highest number of cars throughout the race. And if you end up going to the back twice and passing the field twice, that counts. It's Fieldmaster. It's not Hard Charger. And in the Pro Late Models, it was Dylan Garner who took home those honors at New River. So we've got a fan here from the stands that is going to make it official and put Dylan's name at the top of the charts. He made 14 passes in our Pro Late Model season opener. So, Dylan, I imagine you have to feel great about being able to get that kind of track position. How foundational is that as you're trying to build your program on the PLN side of things, just to know that you can pass cars and get to the front of the field?
Yeah, you know, first of all, huge thanks to Flo for putting up this tremendous amount of bonus cash for this award. It really helps a small team like us compete at this high level. But, you know, it does feel good knowing that being able to pit stop in this class and being able to make some last-minute adjustments to a car that's maybe not performing the way we want, we can get some of those extra passes, and worked out for us at New River. We nearly clinched our first top 5 in Cars Tour competition, so having those two together really was a big highlight for us in the first time at New River. So looking to try to keep up some of these passes and maybe win it a couple more times this year, and who knows, maybe we'll be there at the end with the most passes.
$2,000 per race and a season end bonus. So Dylan got the job done in the Pro Late Models, and in the Late Model stock cars, it was a different driver. It was a driver who had a lot of fun and was very busy trying to get from the back to the front. And we're keeping an eye out for where his whereabouts may be. But lots of fun here to be had here, and we'll introduce that driver in a little bit, Eric and Blake.
Thanks, Pike. So the Pro Late Model drivers are making their way to their cars. Let's introduce you to the Late Model stock portion of our field. For the Byron Outdoors Superstore 225 at Cordele.
We mentioned this driver pulling double duty. This is where he'll roll off in position number 27 for the Late Model stock cars. And the number 12, Byron Outdoors Superstore, Brinkley RV and KevinSaysYes.com Chevrolet from Fort Valley, Georgia. Once again, it is Hudson Bolger.
Starting in 26th position, the driver making his 50th career Cars Tour Late Model stock start. Driving the Jones Utilities Construction 44 for Mike Darn Racing, Connor Jones.
And starting tonight in the 25th position behind the wheel of the number 11 Timber Waters Chevrolet for Van Dyke Racing Performance out of Littleton, North Carolina, Buddy Isles Jr.
Starting in 24th, Georgia native making his first start of the year at a track where his history dates back 20 years in the Maverick Steel Buildings number 40, Taylor Satterfield.
And on the inside of row number 12, you'll find the number 22 Autos by Nelson L&R Transmissions Toyota from Lexington, North Carolina. Give it up for Carson Lofton.
Starting in 22nd, making his 25th career Cars Tour Late Model stock start in the Sterling Building Group, R&S Race Cars number 4, Cade Brown.
In the 21st spot behind the wheel of the number 1, Right Foot Down Motorsports, Empowers Construction, and QC Coatings Chevrolet for the Carroll Speed Shop from Brooksville, Florida, Daniel Webster.
Starting in the 20th spot out of Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina, comes in tonight 6th in points in the Rent Source MMI number 29 for Kevin Harvick Incorporated, Landon Lewis.
And starting tonight in the 19th position, back with the Z-Max Cars Tour in the number 24, Liberty Puzzles, DriverTees.com, and All Temperatures Control Toyota from Parker, Colorado, Cody Dipster.
Starting in the 18th spot, fresh off the win at Orange County in their local show last week, in the Furniture for Less number 54 out of Richlands, North Carolina, Michael Foes.
Starting tonight in 17th behind the wheel of the 2W Mid-Carolina Landscaping Ford from Randleman, North Carolina, it is Ryan Wilson.
Starting in the 16th spot, wrapped up the Crossroads Harley-Davidson Hard Charger Award. Last time out at Wake County, driving the Crossroads Harley-Davidson, and Josh Sellers number 2, Brandon Pierce.
And on the inside of row number 8, in the number 8 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet for Junior Motorsports from Kannapolis, North Carolina, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Starting in the 14th spot in what is his and Pinnacle Racing Group's first trip to Cordele, in the Armor Metals number 28S out of Connolly Springs, North Carolina, Landon S. Huffman.
On the inside of road number 7, behind the wheel of the number 16 Aaron Sales and Lease and Elliott Properties Ford from Supply, North Carolina, Chad McCumbee.
Starting in the 12th position, Hickory winner from last year and second in points coming into the night. In the family-owned Bessemer Tire and Auto, number 04, Ronnie Bassett Jr.
And starting tonight in the 11th position, behind the wheel of the 03 Folsom Fence Supply Toyota for Lee Pulliam Performance from Jackson, Georgia, Laney Bice.
Starting in the 10th position, 2024 Thanksgiving All-Star Classic winner in the Southern Bank number 4 from Mike Darn Racing, Parker Eatman.
And rolling off tonight in the 9th position, behind the wheel of the number 57 IBCI Sugarlands Distilling Co. and Josh Sellers Chevrolet for the Carroll Speed Shop from Claremont, North Carolina, Landon Huffman.
Starting in the 8th spot, Florence winner from 2024, making his 46th career Cars Tour late model stock start, Leisure Time Reynolds, number 15, Ryan Millington.
Starting tonight in the 7th position, behind the wheel of the number 4 Liberty in a Can, Ledford Billiard Supply and Team Dillon Management Chevrolet for Hedinger Racing. Out of Mooresville, it is Donovan Strauss.
Starting in the 6th position, out of Huntington Beach, California, in the factory canopies, LPG Transport number 71, Jake Bowman.
And now to meet your top 5 starters in the Air Doug Media Toyota for Lee Pulliam Performance out of Forest Hill, Maryland, it is Doug Barnes Jr.
Starting in 4th, highly anticipated late model stock debut with the Lee Pulliam Performance Team, 2024 World Crown 300 winner, Michael Hind.
Inside row number 2, pulling double duty tonight, driving the number 7 Aspire Motorsports and Gainbridge Chevrolet from Matt Piercy Racing from Williamsburg, Virginia, Tristan McKee.
To the front row, and the driver starting outside pole, current championship points leader and winner at New River in the Bass Pro Shops, Roto-Rooter and Sundrop 88 for Junior Motorsports, Connor Hall.
And winner of a second consecutive Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole and looking to go back-to-back in terms of race victories in the number 81 Convenience Tire and Auto, PDL Motorsports and Victoria Swimwear Toyota from Manassas, Virginia, Minnie Tyrell.
27 cars strong, separated by less than 27 hundredths of a second, front to back in qualifying earlier today, have now been introduced to the crowd. But just as we saw with Dylan Garner for the pros, our late model stock field master from the Bullwing at Wake County is Whit Pike.
And to say that he was the FloRacing field master, I think, is a just recognition for everything that this driver went through. Throttle hung going into turn 1 at practice on Friday, had to go back to Charlotte, go get the backup car, fix it up, did not get any sleep the Friday night before, ends up with the FloRacing Field Master Award, ended up passing 65 cars. How about it from Marietta, Georgia's Donovan Strauss. And Donovan, for the weekend that you had, how proud are you of picking up the FloRacing Field Master Award for Wake County?
Yeah, I mean, you just that weekend last 2 weeks ago was a crazy weekend, and to come through all that adversity and still end up where we ended up that week and pass as many cars as we passed is crazy. But especially for a car we didn't even have 24 hours the night before, so. It just shows the resilience this team has, and it's been a great opportunity for me to work with Hettinger Racing this year, and it's just been it's been incredible.
A big moment for Donovan Strauss to pick up his first FloRacing Field Master Award of the year, and we'll look to maybe double up, maybe go even a little bit better here at Cordele. It's a home game for the Georgia native, his home track on the Cars Tour calendar.
Thank you, Pike. The field has been set for both the Pro Late Models and the Late Model stock cars. Next up, we'll be ready to fire the engines for the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear Byron Outdoor Superstores 225, live from the Cordele Motor Speedway.
Want an easy way to help take care of your vehicle? ZMAX Micro Lubricant. ZMAX Micro Lubricant is a DIY solution that pours into your fuel and oil. ZMAX proprietary molecules are uniquely small, so they literally soak into the metal, dispersing harmful carbon deposits. This improves horsepower, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. ZMAX is good for your car, your wallet, and the environment. Can be used in newer used vehicles. Available at zmax.com or your local auto parts store.
Hendrick.
It's the perfect time to find an affordable vehicle. Visit HendrickCars.com and shop our large selection, including over 1,000 vehicles priced under 20 grand. Plus, drive today but pay later with our payment deferral and zero down options. Buy from the name you know and trust. Hendrick has received over 650,000 five-star online reviews. Over 1,000 vehicles under 20 grand. Find yours at HendrickCars.com.
Lessen the noise of the track, not the rush of the race. With Sound Gear, hearing protection solutions that lap the competition. Perfect for racers, crew, fans, or anyone who works or plays in loud places. Sound Gear, official hearing protection sponsor of ZMAX Cars Tour. Sound Gear, ready for anywhere sound is a problem.
Only thing left to do is light the fuse for tonight's running of the Byron Outdoor Superstore 225 at Cordele Raceway. The third race of the season for the late model stock cars, second for the pros of the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear in 2025. And coming into this season, I would say once the schedule was announced and finalized, this may have been one of the most highly anticipated events of 2025. New venue, not a lot of experience here. But Blake, over the course of not only the last few weeks, but I would say even the last 36 hours or so, we found a couple of more events to look forward to in a very big way, one of which being one that's been a traditional favorite, but it got amped up to the 10th degree.
It certainly did, Eric, and that is the running of the Throwback Classic at Hickory Motor Speedway. Again, for Cars Tour fans that have been around a number of years, they know the Throwback at Hickory goes together like peas and carrots, but coming out this year with the largest purse in late model stock car racing history, $50,000 to win for the late model stock cars at a perfect area to draw a huge car count, to draw a number of cars, and even the pro late models. Again, I remember it was a number of years ago, the Old North State Nationals with the ZMAX Cars Tour paid out 30 grand to win. That's exactly what the pro late models will also be competing for at Hickory Motor Speedway. What an opportunity, again, for these competitors in this series to do what I think is another season of first for the ZMAX Cars Tour here with everything that's been going on this year.
There's enough of a gap between first and second to make that battle for the win in each race to really be intense, but there's also enough padding at the bottom portion of the field to make starting the event be something that means so much to these race teams. A tremendous effort by all, and more detailed information will continue to roll in as that event draws near. It'll be in the first weekend of August. Again, Hickory Motor Speedway. We say it every week. I believe every stop on the Cars Tour calendar is either must-see TV, block your calendars, or come on out to the racetrack and enjoy it like all these fans have here at Cordele. The rest of the season is going to be just as exciting as it has been up to this point, and we expect tonight to go as well. Well, the fans are ready. We are all just about ready. Everyone is finding their final positions before we head into our headliner for the Byron Outdoor Superstore 225. Let's go down trackside to get the command.
Race fans, just 3 weeks ago, Madison Bragg was involved in a horrific crash here at Cordele that fractured her pelvis and sacrum. While she'll be out of the seat for some time, the road to recovery has begun. But Cordele Motor Speedway is a place where Madison has had great success with numerous wins, along with back-to-back Outlaw Late Model Championships in 2002 and 2023. And she was also Miss Snowball Derby in 2021. So it is fitting that to give the command and for the most famous words in motorsports, Cordele Motor Speedway, please welcome Madison Bragg.
Drivers, start your engines!
The instruction from Madison Bragg also going out to her father, Spencer, who's going to be making his Cars Tour Pro Late Model debut. As a matter of fact, our roving camera crew is about to come up on that 08 car with Spencer Bragg starting on the inside of road number 14. And I'm sure that after all that family and that driver and that team has had to endure over the course of the last few weeks, we might not be able to see the eyes of Spencer Bragg through the window net and through the visor of the helmet of that race car. But that has to be a special moment for him and that family, as his daughter was able to light the fuse for tonight's race. 100 laps for the pros is what's up next.
And it is going to be a good one. Again, just so many cars in this field, Eric, are so competitive here at this racetrack, have been here a number of times, and I think we're set up for one incredible show with just the fact that, again, we talk at length about how close and how competitive this series is on the late model stock car side, but yet that same competitive nature has been brought to the pro late models, kind of going to their backyard, if you will. Again, I don't want to say backyard because super late models, pro late models, they race all the way around this country. It's really just the Southeast where late model stock cars are so prevalent, but this is their ability, their time to shine. We have a field full of experienced competitors, not so experienced competitors, drivers who have been here for the first time, drivers who have been calling this place home for 15 or 20 years. A great mix in this field. I can't wait to see how it all shakes out.
There are drivers who already have a very passionate fan base behind them at the Speedway or watching along on Flow. Others still trying to maybe build their brand or earn their fans or earn their stripes in their racing career. If you can come out on top tonight in this pro late model field, this is the first time we've sent cars home since North Wilkesboro 2023 in the pro class. It's been a moment, and look at that shot from our SRI and CitraSafe drone coverage high atop the main grandstands. You can see the unique shape of this facility, and Blake, we may look at some of the lack of outside retaining wall as being a bit forgiving. A lot of these drivers have said it's also quite challenging.
It is, because it makes it so difficult to know exactly how far you can go out there, especially off of turn number 2. You're going to see a lot of guys. I mean, again, look at the grass right up there. You can see right at the top of that SRI drone shot. There's a reason that there's not a lot of grass out there, and that's not because they didn't plant grass there. It's because cars have done a number of their own job over the numbers of years that this facility has been running, that they dip that right front, they dip that right rear tire off as they come off of turn 2 and into turn 3, and that's what's eroded away the grass. And again, you mentioned the fact that there's no outside retaining wall into 3 and 4. Well, there's a body of water out there that'll be good enough to stop your car with there being no wall out there.
Cordele, known as the watermelon capital of the world, and I mean, you can actually see it from our tower where some of the watermelon patches are traditionally stationed. I don't think that you want to do that type of landscaping in these race cars, but nevertheless, you never know what could happen here. As we take a look at our starting lineup for what will be our Pro Late model field, we mentioned 2 drivers who failed to make the show. Rafe Slate in the number 82S and Carter Whalen in the number 23. Those were 2 cars that all the cars in the back portion of the running order, neither of them had owner's points to fall back on. So Rafe Slate and Carter Whalen are watching along with the rest of us, as they unfortunately were the 2 slowest cars in the session and did not have any provisionals to fall back on. Patrick Hodges and Hunter Johnson were able to earn those slots. So we hope to see Rafe Slate and Carter Whalen back with us at a Cars Tour event this season, as we now introduce you to our Pro Late model starting grid.
Again, Keelan Harvick debuting on pole, wasn't able to make it out to New River All-American Speedway. Wants to grab a win in his first ZMAX Cars Tour race. And Colin Allman, that car has been fast all weekend long, perhaps the best in race trim this evening.
TJ DeCare trying to get the one that got away at New River, and Ben Mayer already has gone to victory lane here at Cordele, trying to do it with the Cars Tour.
And Tristan McKee, double duty, fast in both race cars. And how about Tyler Reif, hard charger at New River? He doesn't have to worry about that tonight. He gets to start from the outside of row 3.
Next row, you've got Isaac Kitzmiller, very impressive rookie, and Hudson Bolger, big night for him, one of our double duty drivers, starting outside of row 4.
Brody Monahan, again, one of the many Bryson Lopez Racing entries that you'll see. In fact, it's a row of Bryson Lopez Racing entries. Brody Monahan on the inside and Brandon Lopez on the outside.
Back to row 6, young talent here. 11th, Garrett Gum and the family on 5. Rodney Dallas out of Long Island, New York, in the Walker Motorsports 15.
Again, several experienced Pro Late model drivers here, well represented in row 7. Casey Roderick and Seth Christensen. Again, I think these are 2 drivers we wouldn't see if we weren't down here in Cordele, Georgia.
Back to row number 8, you've got Gage Gilby from north of the border and Jackson Bishop in the 2, making his start on the outside of that 8th row.
Back to row 9, you'll find Dylan Garner in the number 97, the FloRacing Field Master from New River All-American Speedway, and Jet Nolan, this facility, his family does so much for it. It's a special night for him.
Cody Haskins, Tim Sozio going to take us through your top 20 starters. Looking back to row number 11, Augie Grill is back at Cars Tour competition after he had an up and down 2024. More on that later. Starting alongside Luke Yarbrough in the 62X.
Longtime Cars Tour competitor and veteran in Logan Jones. He won at the track we were just last at Wake County Speedway a number of years ago. Cody Martell looking to bounce back as well.
Carson Ware, Brandon Brilliant going to make up row number 13. Row 14, we talked about Spencer Bragg making his Cars Tour debut on the pro side. Back on the inside of that row alongside of Stuart Dutton. As the rest of our field sees the drivers who made it in based off of the provisionals, Hunter Johnson, Patrick Hodges, your full field of 30 starters. And just like that, we have blitzed our way through the parade and pace laps, and we are about to see for the very first time in his young career, Keelan Harvick lead a Cars Tour Pro Late model field down to green. The long-anticipated debut for the Cars Tour in the Peach State is happening now. Green flag for the Byron Outdoor Superstore 225. Harvick's going to get the clear jump by turn number 3. Colin Ullman trying to toe the top lane in the battle for second as Harvick leads lap 1. Down to the inside is TJ DeCare in the 54.
They may be single file with Keelan Harvick, but it is absolute madness all the way throughout the field. Very quickly on the launch, just as we saw at New River All-American Speedway, TJ DeCare looking to challenge for that second position. And I think this is where you're going to see Colin Ullman against somebody that knows this racetrack very well, going to make that job difficult to try and wrestle away that second position.
Ullman doing a good job there, towing the high line in that 67 car, fending off DeCare for now, just about dusting off the outside retaining wall as they come off turn 4. For Colin Ullman and this race team, Cordele has been so good to him, and right now he's trying to use some of that momentum, quite literally and metaphorically, to hold him down in the second spot, and he will take sole possession of the position on the front straightaway.
Ben Mayer, you can see in that number 6 car, going to quickly try to make a battle of it. This is one that has pretty much gone on since the drop of the green flag. You can see the 47 of Tyler Reif. We mentioned the fact that he was the hard charger at New River All-American Speedway. Likely not going to be winning that award tonight, starting in 6th. But this is a side-by-side battle that has been steady since the drop of the green flag. Hudson Bolger on the high side again, making the adjustment in his first ever late model stock car start a little bit later on, but right now did a great job there in 3 and 4, holding off that 47 car on the high side.
Oh, but he slided wide there in turn 1, and he's going to give up the spot to Reif again off turn 2. And look at the name on the quarter panels of that 17 car. That's the same sponsor and supporter of tonight's racing action. You always want to win in your sponsor's race. Hudson Bolger is quite motivated. He caught the race car and only lost 1 spot.
I was about to say, with having to gather it up like that, very impressive that he was able to bring it back underneath him and only lose 1 spot. And the fact that his car has looked so good up high recently. But again, we think back to New River All-American Speedway and how abrasive that surface is. It's been kind of, the jury's still out in terms of drivers, talking to many of them earlier today about how much they think they're going to have to save in this race. But remember, these Pro Late models, they're competing with an ST2 tire that these Pro Late models competed on last year, known as a little bit harder than what the F45 Stars are, the late model stock cars race on. So the jury may still be out on what we see in the late model stock car race, but a shorter race, along with a harder tire, these drivers aren't going to be holding back near as much in these Pro Late models as we see Isaac Kitzmiller, the young man, trying to get his way by that number 17 car.
It's been about a month since we saw Kitzmiller come home with a podium effort at New River All-American Speedway. Since then, he kicked off his first full-time campaign in the ARCA Menards East Series, getting a top 5 at Five Flags Speedway, trying to carry some of that momentum here to see if he could back up the effort that his team was able to put forth at New River. And it should be noted that New River winner Jade Abedissian not in attendance tonight, so that's certainly going to shake up the top portion of the championship point standings for sure. A huge opportunity for Kitzmiller and company.
That it is, to try to make up those valuable points. And again, even in the Pro Late models, what were we talking about to the very end of 2024, how close that battle was in points between Caden Honeycutt, the eventual champion, and Spencer Davis, who ended up winning the Owners' Championship, and coming up just shy of the Drivers' Championship in 2024. Every single point matters. And speaking of that team, the Honeycutt won his championship with in the second half of 2024, competing right there in the form of Brody Monahan and that number 31 as Bolger struggling to try to get the handling of that race car underneath them. Another battle happening further back as well.
That's Casey Roderick in the orange number 62. And Roderick is someone who was a notable absentee for the Snowball Derby last season. We mentioned 3-time Southern Super Series champion. Just couldn't put together the funding and the deal to try to get back to the Derby. He did run in the Snowflake 100, but his exit was in dramatic fashion. The good news was that Roderick was okay. He was able to walk away from the car. Now he's back in Carsville competition for the first time in about a year. To Pike.
Yeah, Eric, I talked to Casey earlier this afternoon, and I asked him, what have you noticed about this place with these Pro Late models? He's a defending national Super Late Model Touring champion. He's a multiple-time Southern Super Series champion. He's well versed to speak on this, and he said, the biggest thing I noticed is that tires fall off a little bit in the first 5 laps, but once you clear 5 laps on a green flag run, that the fall off is basically non-existent. The tires sort of hold the pace, and they stay there. And also that this place tightens up a ton at night with the decreased temperatures. A lot of tracks are going to grip up, but he said this place grips up more than most.
Well, the entire track is now well baked in shade in comparison to the sunlight that draped across this 3/8 mile over the course of the last 2+ days of on-track activity for these teams. It's going to be a big test for all competitors as Monahan in the 31 continues to pressure Bolger in the 17 for a battle that is inside the top 10. This is for 8.
I think right now, Bolger doing a great job as far as a car that can handle up there in that second lane. You can see trying to cut down, build that momentum on corner exit, is able to just do it. But it's over here at 1 and 2, that car's just had trouble getting down to the bottom. You know, that's kind of something that I saw, again, watching practice from kind of a bird's eye view, being able to see a lot of cars, both the Pro Late models and late model stocks, go into turn 1. Difficult corner to really get down and be able to get your car to stick and be able to get the nose to rotate in the center of the corner. You can see Bolger right now. Great 3 and 4, and even not so bad at 1 and 2, but just can't get that 17 car to stick at the bottom of 1 and 2 right now.
Caught up with Brody Monahan earlier today as his back bumper just about got a bit of a love tap there from Casey Roderick, who got by, ironically, Monahan's teammate Brandon Lopez quickly was able to gap the 6 car. Now looking to the inside of Monahan in turn 3, and that's exactly where I got to catch up with Brody a little bit. We talked about how different some of these racetracks have been for him compared to what he's used to racing on, up towards the Waterford, Connecticut region. He said he's having a lot of fun. He's really gelling with his team a lot and is embracing the opportunity to come down here and do something that is pretty much new to each track that he visits. And he and Roderick almost came together off 4.
And they did. I think that's Roderick saying, I think I'm a little bit better and I want to get by now, as he's not even going to wait another lap to try and also pressure that number 17 car, Bolger, who again, great job of fending off Brody Monahan, as you mentioned. But Roderick right now, again, we talked about being able to get down to the bottom of 1 and 2. That car just able to carry a lot of speed down there, but Bolger not going to make the task all too easy for Roderick.
Already blitzed through a quarter of this race. 75 to go, coming to 74 to go now. Roderick to the inside, Bolger to the outside. Bolger's going to fend off the challenge for the moment. And while we continue to watch this battle, the car that you saw drift off to the pit lane was Brandon Brilliant in the 12, whose night appears to be over. They've lifted the hood on that car, and he may end up at 30th spot should he not return to the Speedway.
Again, that is the only car that is down in the pit lane right now. Everybody else running on the lead lap. Meanwhile, Keelan Harvick holds an advantage over Colin Allman of about 0.6 of a second or so. A gap that is was once a little bit wider, but started to narrow in the last couple of laps as we continue to watch this battle. Hudson Bolger's working about as hard as anybody out here in Cordele tonight, and he's still got 125 laps left later tonight in the Byron Outdoor Superstores 225 that he's going to have to get done tonight. But selling some t-shirts at least, that's probably one thing that Hudson Bolger's doing right now in that 17 car.
Roderick, two-time Speedfest winner here at Cordele, did so in 2017 and 2019. Trying to work his way up into or towards the top 5. Again, this is for 8th spot, not missing anything up front. 3/4 of a second, the gap between Keelan Harvick and Colin Allman. As we are now 30 laps through already, going to start to have the conversation about the potential of a competition caution should this race continue this green flag trend.
Would be the case as they have settled things out there. There you can see the gap that Keelan Harvick has built over Colin Allman. And Eric, you were talking about it a little bit earlier, that in the absence of Keelan Harvick at New River All-American Speedway, or in the interim, he's been rather busy racing all over the country, running all different types of race cars. And again, I don't want to compare this place to Florence Motor Speedway in terms of abrasiveness, but there have been a number of competitors that have made comparisons from that track to this one in terms of how it races, how it adjusts, and all of those things. And can imagine that one of the tracks that Keelan does have experience on in a full-body stock car is that of Florence Motor Speedway, and putting that to great use here tonight.
More recently running the late model stock car class at Florence. That's where he made his limited late model debut, was Florence Motor Speedway last fall. And the ability to overcome some of the things that have been thrown his way in his young career up to this point is what I think has been the most impressive. And Blake, you told the story that this young man was able to identify a mechanical gremlin that this race car was having. Admittingly, something that many young racers may not have enough experience yet to notice or indicate, let alone to relay to their race team. They were able to work diligently to get the car repaired, both he and the Rackley War operation, to put Keelan in a position where he could not only have a workable race car, but a car in which he was confident he was going to be able to withstand come Mahle Pole Award qualifying. The rest now up to him to execute the final 60-plus laps as they're double wide in front of him.
And the Rackley War group was so impressed that somebody of his age knew that there were multiple gears that were broken on this race car, and yet he was able to feel that out before any further damage and risked even being able to run in this race here tonight, and yet alone have a car that could be capable of going to Cookout Victory Lane at the end of the night. As you can see him starting to get into some of the thick of black traffic right now. That is Patrick Hodges, that beautiful Wrangler throwback that he's running right now, currently scored in the 25th position. Is that of Patrick Hodges, as Harvick will put them a couple, or at least one lap down. has a couple of car lengths or so up into before he catches Logan Jones and a couple other cars that are side by side with him. But meanwhile, the battle for second starting to brew as Allman and DeCare both working some of that lap traffic. They are side by side, about a second back of Keelan Harvick.
And it may be at the conclusion of this lap that we will see that competition caution. So the battle for position may in fact be for the next option in the potential choose. Here comes Harvick now to complete lap number 60. They're 3 wide off of turn 4 behind him as the caution flag is going to fly. That'll be a competition caution, 40 consecutive green flag laps. DeCare got up to second, Allman third, Ben Mayer, Tyler Reif, your top 5. First caution flag of the night is a comp yellow after 40 green circuits. Keelan Harvick has led them all. We'll take a quick break and come back for the restart right after this.